You've probably seen it online, right? These viral posts from people claiming they hit their CPF full retirement sum by age 30. And you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how is that even possible? Well, believe it or not, for a short period of time, it actually was. Today, we're going to break down exactly how this hack worked, and more importantly, why it's now a piece of financial history.
So let's just get right to it. The big question. Can you really hit your full retirement sum, the FRS, by the time you're 30? I mean, if you run the numbers today, it seems completely impossible. And you know what? You'd be right. But that wasn't always the case. To really get what's going on, we have to jump in a time machine and go back just a few years.
Okay, first up, let's look at how this was even possible in the first place. It all came down to a pretty unique advantage that existed before the year 2022. This timeline right here shows you the exact turning point. You see, before 2022, the rules allowed for separate top-ups, each with their own limit. But then in 2022, a major policy change came in and bam, a single combined limit for everything. And that one change, well, it fundamentally rewrote the strategy for young Singaporeans. Okay, so here's the secret sauce. Before 2022, when you topped up your special account, that's the RSTU, it had its own $7,000 tax relief cap. But on top of that, if you made voluntary contributions to your MediSave, that had another totally separate limit. This meant you could max out both, letting you funnel a huge amount of cash into your CPF every single year and get tax breaks for all of it. So just how powerful was this? Well, some people were able to top up more than $10,000 a year into their CPF and get tax relief on the whole thing. Imagine doing that for 5 years straight, say from age 26 to 30. That was the rocket fuel that let them blast their way towards the FRS at an incredible speed. And that brings us to the reality check. Section 2, why it's impossible now. Because that amazing strategy, as effective as it was, is completely off the table. The rules have changed big time. And here's the bottom line. Let's be super clear about this. That structural advantage, that loophole that allowed for all that aggressive front-loading of your CPF, is now closed. That door is shut, it's locked, it's a thing of the past. And it's so important to understand that so you can stop chasing a ghost and focus on strategies that actually work today. So, what exactly changed? Well, since 2022, we now have a single combined annual tax relief limit. This one cap covers both the top-ups to your special account for retirement and the voluntary contributions to your MediSave. They basically took those two separate streams and merged them into one. And this is the number that defines every CPF top-up strategy today, $8,000. This is the new magic number, the absolute maximum combined tax relief you can get in a year. When you compare it to the old system, it just dramatically cuts down how much you can put in, making that FRS by 30 goal pretty much unreachable for anyone starting now.
But hey, it's not all bad news. The old hack is gone, but that doesn't mean you're out of options. There is still one really powerful tool that remains unchanged, the irreversible transfer from your ordinary account to your special account.
The mechanic is actually really straightforward. If you've got extra funds sitting in your ordinary account that you know you won't need for housing, you can choose to transfer them over to your special account. Now, what's the big win here? It's that your SA earns a much higher interest rate, around 4%, which really helps your retirement savings compound and grow way faster. Now, listen up, because this is probably the most important warning about this strategy. This transfer is absolutely, positively irreversible. It is a one-way street. Once that money moves from your OA to your SA, there is no going back. You have to be 100% certain before you make this move. So before you even think about clicking that transfer button, you have to ask yourself some serious questions. First, is your housing down payment totally secured? Second, do you know exactly how much you'll need for your mortgage payments down the line? And third, are you genuinely okay with locking those funds away and losing that flexibility for the long term? The best advice is to only even consider this after your big life needs, like your home, are completely sorted. Okay, so this brings us to the modern choice that pretty much every working adult now faces. It's the $8,000 decision problem. You've got some extra cash. What's the smartest thing to do with it? You've really got two paths. On one hand, you can top up your CPF. The pro, you get guaranteed tax relief. That's like an instant risk-free return, plus that steady 4% compounding. The con, that money is locked up for decades. On the other hand, you can invest that cash yourself. The potential upside is much higher returns, maybe 8 to 10% in the stock market, and you keep your flexibility. The downside? You give up those guaranteed tax savings, and you take on all the market risk. It's a classic trade-off.
So look, whether you choose to top up your CPF or you choose to invest it yourself, the most important thing is to actually make a choice. The absolute worst option, the worst thing you can do, is nothing. Just letting that cash sit idle in a bank account where inflation slowly eats away at its value every single day. You've got to be intentional.
So if hitting the FRS by 30 is a ghost to the past, what should we be aiming for now? What's the new North Star? Well, it's time we all set a more realistic goal. First things first, and this is so important. Please stop comparing your progress against old benchmarks that were based on policies that don't even exist anymore. It's just not a fair comparison, and honestly, it's not productive. The game has changed, so our goals have to change too. A much more realistic and still very, very impressive goal is to aim for hitting your full retirement sum sometime in your 40s. I mean, think about it. That's still a full decade, maybe more, before you can even start taking payouts at age 55. Achieving that is a massive financial win, and it puts you way ahead of the curve. And this quote right here, it really sums it all up. The only constant is change. The financial landscape is always evolving. Policies will change, the rules will change, and yeah, the CPF system itself will continue to adapt. The most important skill you can have is your ability to adapt right along with it. So, we'll leave you with this one final thought. The rules for your generation, for our era, are now crystal clear. The $8,000 cap is the new reality. The FRS by 30 hack is officially history. So instead of worrying about what's no longer possible, the real question is this: what will you do now to adapt, to control what you can, and to build the best possible future within the system we have today?